And we're recording. Testing out the noise, all those things, yada yada yada. Just trying out some new stuff. Well, and now we can talk about some more things, right? Hello everyone. Welcome back to a new episode of DevRubes. I'm DevRubes, and as you probably noticed, I've been out for a while. Probably more than I should have, but well, it's life, right? A lot of stuff happened in my life. You can probably notice I'm wearing some interesting clothing now. This has nothing to do with it. It has something to do with more specifically with, well, today we're going to be talking about these, more specifically Woldom. Woldom is the name of the card game that I'm developing. It's a game for my business that we're starting out called Sheepcode. Sheepcode is a school for gifted children about technology, human development, and all the specific skills needed for the future. And we teach development of those skills with games. More now, in this case, we're developing the card game for these children. And more specifically now, we are taking inspiration from, well, games of my childhood. Again, one game that I played a lot when I was a kid, well, is Magic the Gathering. This is a new pack of cards that they made now. And, well, it's a nice game. I do enjoy it a lot. And Magic the Gathering is one of those games that I'm very effective with. More specifically, it was a game that I played a lot when I was a child. And it's very close to my heart. And now I'm developing a game for the children that are going to be playing the games in, well, at Sheepcode. The name of the game is Woldom and is inspired by Magic. But the idea is, instead of needing to develop and taking out the lives of your opponent, in Woldom you need to develop an army to win the game. The first one to an army wins. And it's inspired on the Magic system, yada yada. But today we're not going to be talking about the game that much. We're going to be talking today is how we made these cards, right? Let me just get out of the face. There we go. And the first thing we're going to show you guys are the cards themselves. The cards, they have this magic system. The magic system are the 4 different magical, well, not elements, but they are called the families. We have families in Woldom. These families are the communication family, the crafty family, the spiritual family. Well, actually, the spiritual was in here. This is the artistic family. I'm sorry. I always switch for some reason. But the artistic and the spiritual family, right? In other words, these are the different types of families based on the soft skills that we want these children to develop. And more specifically now, these cards, they have the families in it that are the families of Woldom, right? And now we're going to be telling me about DevRoots. You can develop these cards in any software that you want. What does that have to do anything with programming or anything like that? Simple. We could go with the Canva, GIMP, whatever, right? We could have used any graphical manipulation tool, right? Photoshop even, right? But we decided to do something more interesting, right? How could we make a software that could easily create new cards for us, right? And for that reason, I would have to remember of a software that I haven't touched in many years, right? Because developing these cards should be printable cards. You cannot just say, right, you go to any graphical store, like printing place, whatever you're going to call it, and just say, hey, run this software, right? No, that's not going to happen, right? They're probably not going to do that. So you need to give them a PDF file to be printed, and they're going to give you multiple excuses to why you're not going to be able to print it today, but that's for another moment, right? But what we're going to be talking about is probably the most important one, that is how to develop these PDF files, right? Because in this situation right now, when I was developing the cards, we had this conundrum, or more specifically, not a conundrum, but we had this standoff between making individual cards, or more specifically individual pages to be printed, or make this bulky one. We do have the 2 of them. We have this one, which is the individual cards, and we have the multiple cards PDF file. Now, how do we develop it? Well, it was a very interesting story, right? for, as I told you, I haven't touched the software that we're using in a very long time, and I had to relearn it. And that software is called Latex. For the, well, the people that know, they know. But Latex is a software made to write articles, made to write studies, academia, all those things, right? People that are in the world of science are very knowledgeable of what LaTeX is. More specifically, Overleaf, if you're, a modern LaTeX user. I'm not a modern LaTeX user, as you can probably see. I'm using Emacs even, so clearly not a modern LaTeX user. But to be fair, the LaTeX solution that we made is probably, in my opinion, a very easy to use solution, given that we're using a very old piece of technology, right? So again, why is it useful? Well, to be fair, we're using a very modern compiler anyway, so it's, but again, this solution is simple, right? If we're going to be looking at how does this work, this main file that we have in here is, again, the main one. This is the one that's going to be developing the all card solution. That is the individual ones that I showed you before. Right here, here we go. This one here is the main.txt file. The main.txt file receives all the cards that are going to be printed. In other words, it takes this, which is, again, as you might have guessed it, all the documentation related to these cards. All the cards that are going to be available in that PDF file are the cards that are in here. For the moment, as you can probably see, we only have mana cards, but we do have more solutions. Well, not solutions, but we have other templates for other cards, right? How do the cards work? And this is something that I did not know related to LaTeX. That is, how do you make solutions that can be you can replicate them or reuse them in the future, right? Because LaTeX, I just came out the solution that is, well, actually, I came to the conclusion that LaTeX is a programming language, right? LaTeX is a full-blown programming language that you can use to do whatever you want. It's just that, just like CMake, for an example, CMake has its own programming language that is just really hard to use, but it is a Turing-complete programming language if you could use it. But I'm not going to be showing you in here, but this is the CLS file. That is as the name implies, it is a class file. So in this situation in here, I've just came to know that LaTeX can generate object-oriented programming, right? And again, I'm not the biggest fan of object-oriented programming, but it works fantastically well here in LaTeX, right? Well, I'm sorry, but let me just show you exactly what we have in here related to LaTeX. So we have a few files, and more specifically, how this work is that to generate the individual ones, we have a few commands that we're going to be using. The most important commands are the card commands. So we have the army card. Let me just take this. No. Right, we have the army card, the mana card, the spell cards, and the structure cards. And then we have the card back page, all that. So we have the cards and the back face of the card. And this is just a new command that I just made. I don't know why. I don't remember exactly why I made a back face command and a card back page command. I really don't remember why. So we can probably just remove one of those. So we have the card page back. I'm just going to call the card back face. And back face. There we go. Right, that's all that we need to do anyway. Again, I don't remember why I did it. I was probably very tired when I did that. This was probably very late. But regardless, let's continue. As we are doing this, as I'm recording this, now that I remembered, my bar is, well, open. Well, it doesn't really matter, right? Where was I? Continue, right? So the class itself is simple. The cards commands That sentence is funny. The cards commands, they are fine. They work as you probably expect them to work. The army, the mana, the spell commands, all of them have different amounts of, again, arguments. Each individual one of these commands have different sized arguments. So the most arguments there are is the army one. The army has 7 with the title, description, cost, strength, luck value, defense, and the card art itself for the cards. So each individual one has different sized arguments, but in the end of the day, they're all pretty much the same thing, right? So this way of making it was very simple, the first part of the card generation. So the thing is, where is the difficulty? Well, as you can probably see, we have a make file to make these. The make file is just the 3 commands that we found out that was probably the easiest way for us to do this. So we start with generating the individual cards, which is this one. We use Lua Latex to generate the main.txt file. After that, what we do is we separate all of the cards. So what we found was that there is the software called PDF Separate. PDF Separate, as the name just says, is just a separation PDF software. So it takes the PDF file and exports each individual page of that PDF file into individual PDF files. In other words, it takes the main.pdf file that it generates first, then outputs them all into the cards directory that we have, given a 3-digit integer as the, to make it look nice. And then what we have in here is that once we have all of those files in the cards directory, what we can do is generate ourselves the multiple one. And that's the thing that I want to show you right now. That is the, how do we make all of these cards be inside of one single file, right? Again, to be easily printable. So what we do is the multiple cards, there we go. So the multiple cards one is pretty simple, right? It's not a large LaTeX document, right? But the thing is now, instead of using the simple one, we're going to be using an A4 paper one. In other words, we have the A4 size paper. Again, margin 0. So we're not going to have any geometry obscuring it or just making it useless. So we're going to be using all the space of the page, of the paper. And now the thing is, now that I'm thinking that out loud, probably not the best idea, right? I just came to know that, well, I'll explain it later. Just keep on with this. Then we have, once we have all of those files inside of the cards directory, we can just take all of them and use this package that I did not know existed called PDF Pages, right? PDF Pages is a very interesting package where it takes, again, as the name implies, PDF pages and adds them all together. In that case, we can just use these orientations. For example, take this and use a 3x3 grid with, again, a margin or delta in between them of 5 millimeters. The frame, true, right? No auto scale, false. So again, we do not want to have any scaling of any kind. And then we can just input all of the cards that we want, even the ones that we do not have. For example, we have the card in here. If I'm not mistaken, I have the background of the card. Now, if I do the make file again, it should probably update now. So now in here, we do have the back facing here and the multiple cards. We should have had it in here. For some reason, it's not. We can probably find out if I were to see it in here. Card 005. Interesting. Where did you go? Oh, right. I forgot the comment. Really? Well, that is disappointing. Am I in the wrong directory? No, oh. Okay, that would explain it. We are in the wrong place now, aren't we? Yes, we are. We need to go to the projects directory that is here. Then we go into Voldem, go cards, and now we should probably find it in here. There it is. The multiple cards of PDF file that clearly we have a problem. Interesting. I think I'm in the wrong place then. Let me just do one thing, then we can probably just join. No. Right. Go cards. Main.text. This is the main one right now. We can probably take a look in here and see what happened to the multiple cards. Multiple cards. There we go. Let's return back where we were before. And now we should probably see it better. Real. Now, ain't that a thing? Something weird have happened, but it should have worked. Did I forget the comma again? Okay, there we go. Now it works. Okay, so that was the wrong part. Now the thing is, what was happening right now is the cards themselves are there. They are indeed being rendered. The problem now is we have just all these cards. As we can see, they are in a grid, and that's exactly what we needed to do, right? But the grid itself has an issue. That will be solving it on the next time that we see each other again. That is, these cards right now, they have a hard time printing on themselves. In other words, we cannot have this last card that is our back face. As you know, the back face itself needs to be on the back of the card. And now what happens now is that, unfortunately, the card itself is not aligned. And that alignment is important. What do I mean by it? Simple. For some reason, the alignment that I have right now does not work. So what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to make frames, or better yet, templates for these cards, where the template itself allows me to give a margin. Let's, for an example, instead of doing no margin, margin of 2 millimeters. Now this should probably work. Well, interestingly enough, it did not work. Again. Well, but you get it, right? The margin itself should have worked, but unfortunately it didn't. But regardless, what we needed to do is finding a way for us to find a solution where the cards themselves are aligned. And then once we have that alignment done, make a copy of that alignment with only the back face cards. In other words, when we have these 4 cards, I need to make a copy and find the coordinates of these cards and just remake a new page made exclusively of back face cards, right? That's exactly what we need to do and find a solution for this. And that's what I'm going to do on the next time that we see each other. We're going to be talking about the cards themselves. The last look that I'm going to give to you, all the cards are in here. They are really looking good right now. And just so you can see a bit of what other cards could be, let us play a bit and just show you a bit with other cards, right? So where was I? Right, but the cards themselves, like, let's just see a bit. We do have the CLS cards, and I want the army. The army card is, for us to have an army, we need to have, first of all, the command itself. So we have the army card. The army card takes a title. In other words, let's just give, for an example, the mega title. That should be cool. A description of this mega title guy. It takes more I'll do as something like this. I am the knight. I am mega. It takes megabyte. Megabit. Mega title. I don't know. Mega description now. This is the best description ever. There we go. Yay! Super creative. Now the cost itself, this is the interesting one. So the cost itself takes another cost command, and the cost command, if I'm not mistaken, now that is this one over here exactly. So it takes 4 integer values. I forgot to actually say it in here. Integer, right? Integer, right? Very, very creative values. Right. And they are in order, right? I just need to remember exactly which one they were, because these will actually print out the different values for each individual cost, right? So the cost of the mana, so it could be the crafty, or how many craft mana you need, how many communication mana you need, and all that, right? How many artistic and how many spiritual mana you need, right? So in that case, we can probably just do, for example, in this example, army card, it's gonna take one, I don't know, 1 here, 0 here, 0 here, 0 here, right? It only takes 1 mana of A, right? I don't remember, I think it was artistic. Yeah, I think it was artist. Well, we'll see right now. I don't remember exactly which. I know it's A, right? So we gotta see that right. I'm not gonna see it right. I'm gonna be creative. I'm gonna be very, well, not artistic. Let's just be random right now, right? So that was it. And then once we do that, we have the army card in here. We have the strength value. So now we need to get strength value for the card. This will be very easy. Let's do 2. Then we have the luck of this card. Let's just do 1. Very lucky card. And the defense of the card is going to be, well, 1. Very creative, right? And the last but not least, this we have the card art itself. Now the card art, I don't remember exactly where it was. So the card art now is in, I think it's card art. That's in, no, it's in assets. Exactly, right? So we just need to do assets, card art, and I'm just gonna do 1.png. Actually, let's be creative. I'm gonna do 9.png, right? That should be enough for me to compile it. And we have an execution fail. Let's now then check it out. What happened? Where is the issue right now? I think that what happened was that the card itself, I think I failed. It's card art, assets, card art, assets, art. There should be a 9.pg somewhere. Really? No, there is a 9.png in here. So it's not that. What did I miss? Right. Right, so the thing is, we have missing insert for if num. What am I missing? All right, now that okay, that was stupid. The cost itself is shouldn't be like this. The cost, if I'm not mistaken, should be 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I think that should have worked, right? And now, well, that was clearly not what we wanted. Indeed. Let's try that again. There it is. Mega title. And as you can see now, the same card should be available here as well. There it is. Mega title. Great. And as you can see now, this is actually a special card for this is actually the army card. As the army card, this will be an aggressive card. As you can see, the image itself is not that very aggressive, but the idea is there, right? It is an army card different from the mana card. So in this case, this card in here takes 1 mana. So in that case, mana for this is the artistic. So the artistic mana needs to be paid first, and then you can spawn an army card. In that case, this is the mega title, mega card, or whatever we're going to call it, the army card. And so this army card, once it's available inside of the match, you can use it as, well, an army member. But the problem is that army member can be attacked by your enemy army at the time of its construction. Again, so the entire premise is that you should have a full army to win the match, right? The first one to a full army wins. But you can use your army right now to attack your army, well, the enemy army, so that it can die, and then each individual card that is dead comes back to the deck so that you can use them together, right? The entire premise of the game will be explained in a future video later, but this is the moment of the card game right now. So in that case, we have this card example that we have the 2 for the attack damage or the strength. Then we have the 1 for luck that I'll explain right now what it is. But we also have defense, right? As a Magic the Gathering gamer, you should probably, understand what strength and defense are. Very simple to understand. But the problem is, what the hell is luck, right? What the hell is luck? Luck in this manner of the game is simple. You have the possibility when you're making your match to use a die to actually throw the die and test your luck on the game. You can test how lucky your card is, and you can use that luck to do special abilities on that card. That is what we call the Seeds of Woldom. For Woldom has this magical universe where, well, you can use your ability and the energy of Woldom at your advantage. And in this case, we're just going to be using the magic of randomness to see how lucky you are in the world of Woldom. In that case, the card itself, the army card, how lucky it is when it's attacking, for an example. You could choose, as an example, you can use your luck to double your strength. But if you miss your luck, well, that value is going to be decreased on your attack damage. So, for example, if you have 2 and you roll 1 on the die, you have that value exactly, so you're lucky, and so that means you can double your value. But for example, if you take 2 is greater than 1, so you're even luckier. So values that are lower are, well, luckier cards. So an unlucky card would be something that instead of 1 we have 4, 5, or 6. These are very unlucky cards, so you should probably not test your luck with those, but if you do, that would be very impressive now, wouldn't it be? And so this is primarily what I wanted to share with you guys that we did for, the cards right now. There are other things that are happening, of course, in my life right now. That's why I didn't post that many videos. I'm sorry, and I probably should do better. You're probably going to be looking a lot more. I'll probably be posting more in the past couple of days, and I hope that you guys have a good one. Just remember, and always remember, just keep coding. Bye.